Okay, so we are looking at the rest of this 5.5 and the beginning of 5.6. And the last three problems on here are just word problems. So we're gonna do these three word problems. There's still law of sign problems. And then I'm gonna teach you two new formulas, and those are the last things that we're gonna learn for like this section of our notes / for the next test, okay? So before we get started, let's at the beginning of this word problem page, can you remind me what is law of signs? We just learned that yesterday. Good.
And did you know this?
It's gonna be a test, even though it's only two sections, it's gonna be worth a test. Which I think that you guys will like because A, there's not a lot of material, and B, I think this is pretty easy. So compared to some other stuff, I tried to make like, I think I've labeled it like a quest on like the actual paper, but I'll count it like the 100 points, like a test grade. A quest, a quiz test. A quest makes it sound like medieval though, doesn't it? All right, so this is our law of signs, and then just a reminder, you can do any part of it that you want. You can do the A and the C together. You can do the B and the C together. You can do the A and the B together. I don't really care, but it's just whatever angle you have, side of that angle goes with its opposite side. Okay, and we're actually gonna jump down. We're gonna skip 3 and 4. We'll come back to them. We're gonna do 5 first because I think that's the easiest one. Okay. So if I look at this problem, it says two lighthouses, A and B. So I've got A over here, I've got B over there. They're known to be exactly 20 miles apart on a north-south line. So they're exactly 20 miles apart from each other. A ship's captain, the ship is at point S. It measures to be 33 degrees. And then it also measures the angle at lighthouse B to be 52. So we know two angles and we know one side. And it says find the distance from each ship to, or from the ship to each lighthouse. So that means I need to find little A over here and I need to find little B over here. Basically, we're going to solve this triangle because we also need to find angle A. And I actually think we can do that first. What would I do to find angle A here?
32 plus 52.
Good, so 33 plus 52 plus angle A equals 180. And so we take those and we minus them from 180. I'm gonna get my calculator out. What was that? 95. Awesome. So angle A is 95. And so we're gonna need that in order to solve my two opposite sides, A and B. And I don't care which one you do first. We're gonna use the ones at S. We'll use angle S and we'll use 20 miles. That will be like our first sign of 33 over 20. And then I don't care if you do A or B next. Okay. That being said, can someone write one of my law of sign equations for me?
Sine of sine of 52. Over B. Equals 3 cosine 33
over 20. Very good. So we'll pause and we'll solve that really quick. So I'm going to cross multiply just like we were practicing yesterday. So B sine of 33 equals 20. Why is my email blowing up all of a sudden? Dang is right. Normally I just ignore it, but where is it? Just like 3 event link team emails in a row. I feel like those are not important. That being said, let me take attendance before they call down again. Because we all know I haven't done that yet. We were doing so good. I should have known the first day back from break, though. I was not going to do my attendance. But now we're second period and everybody's here. So that's easy. Okay. 127 divided by sine 53, and I get 28.9.
Yeah.
No. Did you do 20 sine 52, sine 33?
No.
Okay. That'll be a check. We good? Will, you all good back there?
Yeah.
Okay, is it math or is it not math?
It's not.
Okay, great. That's fine. It's just if it's math, I gotta help you out. Let's do the other one. So I'll be quiet and you can solve the next one on your own. Find little a. You're doing the exact same idea as what we just did a second ago. Check yourself, see if you know how to set it up, see if you know how to make it all equal to each other. There's my answer for A on the board. Making sure you guys all get that. The next two word problems are almost the same, but they're different from this one. But together they are almost the exact same. Does anybody have questions on this one before I move on to the next two word problems?
Is that all?
That's all for that one. It said find the distances from the ship to each lighthouse, and so little b, the distance from the ship to lighthouse A was 28.9. And then the distance from the ship to lighthouse B was little a, so that was 36.6. So I think we found both those distances, right? Nice. Okay, if I'm gonna jump back up, we're gonna go over number 3 next. Now, this one's kind of cool because it is from the book and it actually tells us what the answer is. This little part right here, that like approximately 0.7 miles, this is probably copied from the teacher book, so that's why the answer is right there. But our question is, how do we get to that answer, okay? It says observers 2.32 miles apart see a hot air balloon directly between them, but at the angles of elevation shown in the picture. So I've got this angle of elevation at person A, they're looking up at an angle of 28. And then person B is looking up at an angle of 37, and the distance between them is 2.32. Okay, we want to find the altitude of the balloon. What does the altitude mean? Height, very good. So we are looking for the height. Now, my height is not currently drawn on this picture. I'm gonna draw it just so we can visualize where it is, but then I'm gonna erase it because it's gonna ruin like our mental picture, okay? So the height would be from the hot air balloon directly down to the ground. And remember, that's gonna be perpendicular, that's gonna be a 90-degree angle, okay? I'm gonna erase that though, because we're not gonna use law of sines to find that. We're gonna use law of sines to either find this side over here or that side over there. And then we're gonna be able to break it apart and make it like a little right triangle and then do normal trig functions from there, okay? But let's start with what we're used to, okay? I don't care which side we find. Does anyone care if we go for the side across from 37 or the across from 28? Anyone have a preference? Okay, we'll just do the side across from 28, just because that's the one I solved for yesterday. So if C period watches, then they have the same answer as us. So we know that we're gonna use sine of 28 over, and you can call that X, you can call that little a, I don't care what you call it. I'll probably just call it X because we don't know what that side is. But the next one that I do cannot be 37 because we don't know what the side across from 37 is, so I can't use that angle. We actually need to find this angle up top here. What's that angle gonna be? Good, minus from 180 is good. Good. 115. So we're gonna put that for this angle up here. And then we're gonna use that in the side across from it. So that gives us 115 and then 2.32. So we'll do sine of 115 over 2.32. Everybody okay with what we're doing so far? This is still pretty normal stuff. Cross multiply and then we'll solve for X. All right, and I get X equals 1.2. Is that what you guys got? Okay, is that height though? No. So now what we're going to do is take this triangle and I'll actually use a different color. I'll use this blue. And I'm gonna essentially take this like blue right triangle and I'm gonna move it off to the side. That vertical distance I just drew was the height, was the altitude of my shape. We still know that the hypotenuse is that 1.2 because it was right there in my picture. That's a triangle. And then I also know that this angle down here at the bottom is 37 because that's what the original picture said. So that's 37. We don't have to find the other angle. We just want to find the height. And I'm actually gonna argue that this is even more basic than you might think. This is back to like geometry I taught you back in sophomore year. Let's just do SOHCAHTOA. So what sides do I have in terms of opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse? No, I have adjacent. I have opposite and I have hypotenuse, right? So we're gonna do sine. We're just gonna do sine of 37 equals h over 1.2. Sometimes we do so many harder things that you forget basic stuff. So this is just our basic sine, like my sophomores could do this step right here, multiply by that 1.2 on both sides, and we'll put 1.2 sine 37 in the calculator to get my final answer. And then that will be the end. That will be my height, that will be my altitude. And if you notice, I told you what the answer was earlier. This is the exact same answer that we saw in the problem. Okay, and we're gonna do another problem just like that. So if this is like a little funny, you kind of felt like a little like deep the whole way, we'll figure it out as we do another one. Tonight.
So would you get the same answer if you used the other triangle then? How do you?
So like if we had found instead of 1.2 over here, if we had found this distance, then we would have done this triangle and we would have done sine of 28 equals h over whatever that one is. And it should still work out. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's go do the exact same idea on the next problem, okay? It's set up a little bit differently, so we're gonna have to kind of start a little differently, but we'll end up doing all this exact same work. Okay. So this one says weather forecasting. Two meteorologists are 25 miles apart, located on an east-west road. So that's this distance right here. This is 25 miles apart. The meteorologist at point A cites a tornado 38 degrees east of north. I don't really care what 30 degrees east of north is. We have the picture right here. Okay. What I am going to argue though is this is our triangle that I care about is 38 inside the triangle. What would that angle inside the triangle be? Would it be 38 or would it be something else? It would be something else. What would it be? Why 52? Minus 90. This is a right angle right here. And so I can do 90 minus 38 and that's 52. So that's this angle right here. Same idea on the other side. That one's 53 though. So this time we'll do 90 minus 53. 37. Perfect. And then now we've got the same problem as what we just did. We want to find that height, but the first thing we need to do is either find little a and or little b, which I actually think this problem might want us to do both. Let's read the directions really quick. Find the distance from each meteorologist to the tornado. Okay, so that means we have to find both little a and little b, and then we'll find the distance from the tornado to the road. So then we'll end by finding h. Okay. Before we get started though, we got to know what this angle up here is. What's that going to be? So I just did on my calculator, but basically we're doing that 52 plus 37 plus C equals 180. And so C equals 95. So that angle up there is 95 degrees. All right, I want to set up 91. Oh, is it 91? I'm so sorry. So that was so much confidence in that. And the calculator right there says 91. You and some Lisa, right? I love that you both were like checking on your calculators. All right, let's set up for A. Can somebody set up that law of signs for me? To find letter A,
Fine. 53,
52.
I mean, 52 over 53. Over A and
Equals,
sine of 37.
we gotta do 91.
Well, we gotta do that.
Why do we
We
have to?
only have to be five.
If we did
I
sign
thought
it,
B,
yeah, but could we solve an equation with both A and B?
no,
So we gotta use the one with the side that we have. But that being said, we'll set up the exact same thing over here. We'll do sine of 37 over little b, but we still have to set it equal to sine of 91 over 25. So I'll solve for little a first. My A is on the board. Everybody okay with little a? All right, I'm gonna jump over and do little b. The more we do of these, you might find like little patterns and shortcuts. Make sure you at least set up your equation. And then I do encourage that middle step that I do, because if for some reason you type something into your calculator wrong, I know what you were meaning to do. So again, the more work you show, the better chance you get partial points. But if you're like, oh, we keep doing this and I know how to set it up, then that's also fine. So b equals 15. Do you guys get both of those as well? Okay. And then now this kind of will answer Denia's question from earlier. That's 19.7 and that's 15. On this one, you can do either one of the triangles, and I might encourage you guys to do one and then I'll do the other one. But you can either do this triangle right here, and we'll do 52 and 15 and H. So I'll draw that off to the side. You can kind of do the left side of the triangle, or you could do the right side of the triangle and do 37, 19.7 at H. So I'm gonna argue either one, you should get the exact same answer. It does look like this one might round up like a tiny bit, but I think that they're good enough, close enough to the same that it doesn't really. You could say 11.9. But they're basically the same. Everybody cool with that? All right. All right, that is all of 5.5. So we're gonna go do 2 or 3 more problems on 5.6, just so I can teach you all the formulas today, so that tomorrow we can just plug and chug. And then the rest of the time we'll do on homework. You guys are doing really good on timing today. This just means that we were really messing around yesterday in CPR. So we barely got this stuff done. Okay. Now we just did law of signs. Looking back at these triangles, can you remind me what was given to us to know that it was law of signs? 2 sides and an angle was an ambiguous case, but that was still law of signs. Yep. And I'm actually gonna make kind of like a little key for this on this next paper. So I'm gonna write my law of signs, and I'm gonna rewrite that equation just because, I don't know, I believe you can never write anything too many times. If you're like, no, Miss White, I've got this down, then don't write it. It's your notes. I don't really care. I'm just here to help you. Not the police of your notes. But for law of signs, we can do ASS. That's our ambiguous case, but we could do that with our law of signs. What else could be given to you? And we know that we're doing law of signs.
Two.
Two angles. Angle side. Okay. I'm just gonna make sure that no. I guess I could give you angle side angle too, or angle side. So I could give you any three of those kind of options and we would know it's law of signs, okay? Now, we just did law of signs, so naturally what comes next is a law of cosines. So next thing I'm gonna teach you is law of cosines. And this we're gonna use in two situations. We're gonna use law of cosines if we have side, angle side, if we have SAS, or if we have side, side, side. So if you have all three sides, you cannot do law of sines. If you have side, angle side, so side, angle, side, then you cannot do law of sines either. If we have SAS or side, 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 we have to do this law of cosines. And these formulas are on that sheet that I gave you to prepare for your last test too. So you can kind of keep referencing those. Okay, law of cosines is kind of a lot. So don't freak out on me, just listen and I'll kind of explain it as we go. We'll start, and I can write this three ways, but I'm just gonna start by writing it one way, okay? So I'm gonna write a squared equals b squared plus c squared. It's very Pythagorean theorem. Okay, I'm on board with this, right? Okay, keeps going though. Minus 2bc cosine a. That's it. It's a lot. You're already like, oh, I don't know if I like this, okay? The side that's across from the angle given or the angle we want is gonna be that A, okay? So the side and the angle that are across from each other are gonna be like at the bookends of the problem. The other two sides, it doesn't matter what order they're in, they're your 2, your B, and your C. Notice that it doesn't matter if we did b squared plus c squared or if we did c squared plus b squared, right? Addition is commutative. Same thing with multiplication. We can do 2 times b times c. That's the same thing as 2 times c times b. It doesn't matter what order they go in. Okay, all that matters is that the side and the angle that go together are on opposite ends. Okay, so I'm gonna look at this problem. Now I know that this has CHS. I know it doesn't say ABC. But what do I have here? Is this a side, 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 or is this a side, angle, side? Side, angle, side. So that's my first clue that I'm gonna do law of cosines. So if they're all kind of intermixed together, I'm gonna first identify which one do I have. I've got law of cosines, okay?
Yeah, there's.
Oh, side, angle, side. Sorry, why did I say side, side, side? Thank you. I'm just messing up all day today. Thank you guys for keeping me in check. I appreciate it. It's worse when I like make a mistake and I have to figure it out later, because then I'm like, well, you guys just let me look an idiot up here, so at least you guys are helping me. Okay, that being said, I was so bent out of shape because I want to make sure the CHS doesn't ruin this, okay? If you don't like the CHS, you can rewrite it as ABC. I don't really care, ABC. I'm gonna argue that you don't even have to do that though. We know, how did I know that C was A though? Why did I not write that the C was the B or the C? How did I know that was the A? Because that's the angle that was given to me. So because that's the angle, that's the one that has to go at that far end over here. And then that means its opposite side is that little A. And I actually don't know what that little side is. So you can call that X, you can call it A, you can call it, I don't know, banana. I don't really care what you call it. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, I'll just call it A for sake of the problem. So let's go ahead and plug everything in. It does not matter, like I said earlier, if B or 12, or sorry, if B is 10 or 12. It doesn't really matter to me as long as I just keep them both and bring them along with me. So I'm going to start using that formula. The side that I don't know that's across from the angle goes first. So I'm going to go A squared. And then I'm going to do side squared plus side squared. I don't care if it's 10 squared first or 12 squared first, but I have to have both of them. 10 squared plus 12 squared or 12 squared plus 10 squared. And then I'll do minus, and again, I don't care if it's 10 times 12 or 12 times 10. And then I'm gonna end with cosine of the angle that I have, cosine of 58. You could plug this right in your calculator. You're welcome to go 10 squared plus 12 squared. I am gonna kind of slowly break it down for you because there are gonna be times that we can't put it straight in our calculator. So go ahead and see if you can enter it right in your calculator, and then you can also see what I do when I break it down and do it part by part. I'm gonna be honest, I don't reach for my calculator right away because I already know what 10 squared is, right? I know 10 squared is 100, I know 12 squared is 144. And as annoying as it might be, I can do 2 times 10 times 12, right? That is what, 240? Cosine of 58. Okay. The reason I also go slow on this is to tell you if I were to do one more step before I put in the calculator, can I add 100, 144, and negative 240 all together? I'm gonna say no. Why can I not?
Oh, because it's
Cosines attached. Good, that's a huge mistake that we often make. That's simple for us not to make. This is all one piece. I cannot add that together, but I can add that 100 and that 144. So I will do that. I'll just add that little piece together, and then I'll go put this all in the calculator. Again, you could have put it in the calculator from the jump, but at this point now, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do 244 minus 240 cosine 58. What mode should my calculator be in? Degrees, great. I've already been in degrees, so I probably shouldn't have to change it. Have we been in radians at all yet in this section? No. No. 116.8, and that's equal to a squared. Am I done? Good, square root. My answer, and I get 10.8. Okay, so that little side over here is 10.8, and actually, let's make a little chart like we did yesterday or the other day. It was just yesterday for us, wasn't it? I do kind of like this chart. I think it does help us kind of keep everything organized. If you hate it, don't use it. But it does say solve CHS, so we have to find all of my sides, okay? Let's say we use A, B, and C to help us with the problem, but I said solve CHS. We will have to give our answers in C and H and S. Little c, little h, little s. I know we just found little a, but which one does that go with on this picture? With C, so I've got 10.8. I also can plug in all the things I already knew. I already knew big C, or we used it as big A, was 58. And then we knew that H was 10. Oh, that's not big H though, it's little h. And then little s was 12. Okay. Now with law of sine, we had to keep doing law of sine every time we were solving all the pieces. I'm gonna argue with law of cosine, you could keep doing it, but you could also do it one time, and now we have enough to do law of sine. I think law of sine is just a tiny bit easier, so I'd rather do law of sine if I can help it, right? So I now have 58 and I've got 10.8, so that's gonna be like the law of sine that I'm gonna use. And then I don't care if we find the angle across from 12 or the angle across from 10, bless you, but we have to find one of them. Once I know what one of those angles is, then I can add and subtract from 180, right? So let's just go do one law of sine. It looks like I'm ready to do that H. So I'm gonna go do the law of sine for H. You could also do the other one if that makes you happy, but I'm gonna do H just because that's what I'm ready to do. So I'll do sine of 58 over 10.8 equals sine of big H over 10. And again, I could have done sine of S over 12 instead. It doesn't matter. I just chose to do this one. So 10.8 sine H equals 10 sine 58. Divide by 10.8. Remind me, how do I finish solving it when I've got sine of H? How do I get that H by itself? Good. inverse, -1, second sine. I don't really care what you call it, but I love that we knew that it was to the negative part. It's not normal sine, it's second sine. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and plug that right into my calculator. Second sine 10 sine 58 divided by 10.8. And I get 51.7. And then again, if I have 58 and now I've got 51.7, I can just add those up and subtract from 180 to get that missing angle. So I'll do that over here, maybe over here. So 58 plus 51.7 plus x equals 180, and so that last angle is going to be 70.3. Do you guys get 70.3 as well? Yeah. We are gonna do more with that tomorrow, but I just wanted to do one to warm you up. And then I want you to flip your paper over. We're gonna do one more problem because it's got a new equation. And then we'll be done for today. So we are doing awesome on time. Logs, cosines is gonna be a little funky. We'll do more problems with that tomorrow, but are we doing okay so far with where we're at? Okay, perfect. So go ahead, flip your paper over. We're doing just 2A, and it says find the area of a triangle. Now, if I asked you right now, what's the area of a triangle, what would you say? Good, so we know area as 1/2 base times height. However, that only works if I give you base and height. If I give you a shape like this first one says A is 47 degrees, B is 32, C is 19. I don't know if I have base and height. I know that I've got A, B, and C. Regardless of how I label them, I don't know what my height is. And I don't really have, I mean, I could, I guess, work to find that height, kind of like we did law of sines earlier, but we have a shortcut here. The area for a triangle that we are gonna use, you might have seen it on the formula sheet already. Let me label it area triangle. When it's not a right triangle, when we aren't given the height, we're gonna use 1/2 AB times sine C. Now, remind me, what do I mean by those little letters? What are A and B? Those are sides, very good. And then C is a what? Angle. Is that angle C across from one of the two sides that I already have? No, how do you know that? It's not the letter C. If it was across from one of those sides, it would be letter C. This is basically using our SAS. This is using side, angle, and side. So the angle is not opposite either of those sides. So that means it's in between it, which is what we have right here. We've got side, angle, side. I know the way this is labeled is not A, B, and C like what we see, but the angle C would be the one in between them. And then either 19 or 32 would be your A or your B. So as long as it's two sides and the angle between it, it fits into our formula. And so we're just gonna plug in. We're gonna say area equals 1/2 19 times 32 times sine of 47. And then you can just plug that right to your calculator. .5 or 1/2 times 19 times 32 times sine of 47, 222.3. Now this is area, so let's put some units on it, especially since this problem gave us units.
No.
Feet squared, good. But I was about to ask, is it just normal feet? Is it squared? Is it cubed? What do we got?
I forgot which one is cute.
The volume. The butter.
Is that can be like on the.
That's the amount of formula sheet. Every single formula I've written to you will be given to you. I'm not playing games right now.
We just.
And that's not like a commentary on the end of the semester. It's just, these are formulas that we just are given. I don't necessarily need you to memorize them. Now, is it helpful if you're familiar enough that you already know it without having to look it up? For sure. But if you forget it, or if you don't really remember, That's, and I will always have it for you. Notice we've also used our calculator a lot, so this will be a calculator test with these formulas. We've basically learned everything new. We're gonna do some variations tomorrow to finish up this 5.6 notes, but that's it. I see you tomorrow. I don't see you Thursday. I will have reviews printed tomorrow because your test is Wednesday after break, and we'll do our review day on Tuesday after break. So if you don't wanna just spend one night, I don't know what your next week looks like. If you wanna get a head start on studying, I'll give you that review tomorrow. Does that sound good? All right. You have the rest of class to work on homework.